Alright, hello YouTube. This is our first review ever on this channel, and we are reviewing today Sleeping Dogs for the Xbox 360. Well, as you all know, probably now, is that this game used to be True Crime Hong Kong. And I believe it was Activision canceled the game, and then Square Enix picked it up, and now it's called Sleeping Dogs. So pretty much the background of this game is you play as Wei Shen, who is a police officer from San Francisco who travels to Hong Kong to help be an undercover cop in the Triads. And pretty much he has a little bit of a backstory. They don't really get into it too much throughout the whole game, but you can tell that he's connected to the individuals in the Triad organization. So there's a bit of a conflict between them internally and externally with working for the police department and also, becoming attached to these triads and his friends that are triads and whatnot. So pretty much he has to infiltrate them, bring them down, and bring them to justice, pretty much is the whole premise of the game. Well, it takes place in Hong Kong, and not many games take place in Hong Kong. It's not a flashy or glamorous place, in comparison to like New York or Japan and everything. I mean, you could tell it's Hong Kong. It's a little underdeveloped and whatnot. You don't have helicopters and jet planes going around everywhere. Pretty much all you have are cars, boats, vans, and motorcycles is pretty much. And with that said, like, as I would play through the whole game and you unlock the different areas and whatnot and you go around the different parts of the map, is I found that some parts were like really richy areas, be like your New York, your like Broadways and things like that, or your Rodeo Drive and everything, all flashy and stuff. And then you go to other parts of the map where it's really run down, people are living in the ghettos, it's the slums and whatnot. And from what I've seen of pictures of Hong Kong, it pretty much looks like Hong Kong. So as far as the whole setting and everything goes, it's done really well in this game. And it's a nice change of pace from, your typical, LA, New York scenes and, Japan scenes with the Yakuza games. Well, pretty much is I want to talk about the gameplay right now. The gameplay is really smooth. What I did read from one of the head developers was that, or the designers, I mean, was that they had three distinct teams. They had a melee team, they had a gunplay team, and they had a driving team. And within each of these teams, the people that worked in those teams, some of them worked on Need for Speed games, other ones worked on some different shooter games, and some worked on some melee fighting games. So they actually pulled together a whole diverse group of people to come together and build the mechanics of this game, and it runs really well. The fighting is done really nice, as you'll see throughout the video. There's a lot of counters, grappling. It plays a lot like a mix between Arkham City, the Batman games, and the Assassin's Creed games with the counters. And that's both a positive and a negative to it. Is the positive, it looks really nice, it flows good, the animations are for the most part done really well. The negative side is that you can, just like in Assassin's Creed, you can essentially just stand there and just continuously counter. And, that actually takes away from the experience because there's not a level of struggling to fight a group of people. It's kind of like, oh, I'm just going to stand here, you're going to flash red when you're about to attack me, I'll push a single button and counter that and break your leg, and that'll be that. So with that, that's pretty much the melee. There's different combos you can unlock and whatnot, and you can advance, and you can do different special moves, break the legs, break the arms. You can do something called the dim mak, which is from Bruce Lee, where, he counters it, does a couple of quick strikes to the chest, and then a palm thrust, which is really nice. It looks really good, too. And then, so let's move on to the gunplay. Gunplay is done not bad. It's pretty good for what it is. The aiming kind of gets a little intense when you're jumping around to different places, vaulting over the different objects or whatnot. And if you don't have a brand new controller like I do, or actually like a brand new controller in general, is my controller is kind of worn out, so the thumbsticks kind of move on their own a little bit. It becomes a little difficult to aim because the aiming isn't as smooth as it should be from what I've played of the game. But for the most part, it's nice. You know, it's kind of cool. You know, shooting people in the head or whatnot, and you know, when you jump over an object, it goes into slow mo, and it looks really nice. It kind of reminds me of playing the Matrix games, just 10 times better. Um, let's move into the driving. The driving is done pretty good for an open world game. It's not Need for Speed quality. I mean, you know, if you barely move or turn the joystick, it has this jerkiness. It's not a smooth motion, just like if you're playing Need for Speed or Forza games. But in comparison to GTA and whatnot, it's a lot better than those games, I feel. The only thing I can say kind of negative about the driving is that all the vehicles, they pretty much handle the same. Like, you'll get into some like cheapy vans or whatever, and they'll move retardedly slow. Like, you run faster than those things can drive. Or you'll go into like the sports racing little import cars, and they feel fast, but it kind of just feels like all they did was just do motion blur, so it just makes the illusion that you're moving fast. You don't really feel like you're going fast, you know, as opposed to when you're driving the motorcycles. Now, when you're on the bikes, that's a lot of fun. Okay, that feels really immersive. It's done really well. The animations and everything are done awesome. The only negative to the bikes is every time he jumps on a motorcycle, he pulls out a helmet, and I don't know where this helmet comes from. It just magically appears out of his pocket, and he puts it on. And I mean, I guess that's cool or whatever, but I mean, it just seems kind of unrealistic, or as far as what the game is going for. So, next, you know, the graphics is nothing amazing. The game looks nice. You know, the weather changes. You go from day to night to raining, and all the water effects and everything looks pretty nice. It's not as nice as, like, let's say Rage or Crisis or anything, but it's done really well. It's a lot better than I would say Grand Theft Auto games as far as the overall environment's done and all that stuff. But the character models that are voiced and main characters are all done pretty well, but the ambient characters, yeah, if you ever played the Slender Man games or seen those kind of videos, that's what they look like. They don't have that much detail to them. They look like paper people. They look really poorly done. And I think for as much as the game that was already completed and all they really had to do was polish it up, they could have polished that a lot more than what they did. So that would have just made the whole immersion experience of the entire game a lot better than what it was. But overall, graphics are pretty good. If I had to rate them at a 1 to 10 scale, I'd probably give them about a 7.5 to an 8, I would say. You know, being, for me, the top graphic games right now on consoles would be, you know, your Crysis and your Rage games really look the best. But, you know, it still looks nice game. It's a nice looking game. I did complete the entire game with the exception of I have a handful of side missions left over to do, but I did all the main TRIAD missions and I also did all the main cop missions. And as far as the story missions go, they're done really well. You don't feel like you're doing like stupid missions. You don't feel like they're pointless. They actually advance the story. And one thing I'll say that they do really nice is, in order to advance to a certain aspect of the next story, you have to go to sleep in your apartment. And throughout the sleeping section of the game, what they do is they have the main character replays scenes from the story or the missions that you've already done, and it shows the internal conflict with them between whether or not to be a good guy or to be a bad guy. And that's really nice how they did that. And it just further the immersion level of the game too, you know, and you can see the internal conflict and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. What else? As far as, you know, overall game, it's really nice. There's a lot of things you can upgrade. The one thing you can't upgrade that I thought they should have had this was to be able to upgrade your cars, just like Saints Row does that, which is pretty cool, I think, but they don't give you an option to do that. You kind of just buy cars that you can get for free on the level, and a lot of the cars cost, like, for the really good ones, you're looking at $900,000 for a really good car. And I mean, yes, you can make that money relatively easy, but why buy the car when you can just steal it off of the street? You know, somebody's driving around with it, just take it. There's no point in buying it, from what I've seen. There's a lot of mini games. They have chicken fighting or cockfighting, whatever. They have Mahjong Poker, which I thought was totally weird because I thought Mahjong was just build elaborate tile structures or whatnot. But that's pretty cool. You can do a lot of gambling. There's street racing, and there's little fight clubs. I found the fight clubs to be most exciting. Pretty much, it's a good game. Overall, I don't know if I would pay $65 if I did it again. I'd probably, if you could get the game used for around like $50, then I would say get it. But for $65, I'd probably wait. We have a number of games coming out anyways. So on like Transformers, it comes out right around the corner. So, um, but overall, it was a good game. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, just hit me up in the comments on the Facebook page or the Twitter page. And like I said, this is the first review, and as time goes on, we'll get better and better and better, and the quality will go up. Alright, well, thank you, and subscribe if you like it, and if not, that's cool too. Alright, well, thank you.